All right, and welcome everyone to Synth Silk Failure, a podcast about watching marathon die. I'm Robomantis, and I am joined by.
T Monny. I'm T Monny here, your usual co-host, and we have a very exciting episode for you today. We said last episode that we would be digging into the lore and story of Marathon. That was false, because we have something better going on. We have a very special guest with us today, the indestructible, unbreakable Stubby Stan. Uh, Hello, Stubby Stan.
Who knew when I went to space camp all those years ago that I was training for coming to Tau Ceti 4? I have arrived. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
And we're so glad to have you on Tau Ceti 4 and on the show. I've known Stubby Stan for many years. We have not been like longtime Destiny, fire team members or anything like that. So playing this type of game together is like a little bit new for us, but obviously we've played lots of other stuff together, lots of sports games together and some other shooters and everything. And so we're really excited to have you here with us and talk about your kind of first impressions of the game. And I'm joining our running crew. We'll talk about some great experiences that we've had together. But first, I wanted to get us all introduced a little bit and warm us up a little bit. And Robomantis is going to administer the Synth Silk Failure questionnaire to us to get to know us a little better as
Oh,
gamers and as runners.
right
So
on.
are you
That's
ready for that, Stubby Stan?
oh, when you're born ready, you don't have to get ready.
Exactly.
uh, well, again, we are listening to user feedback. We are introducing new content wherever people need it, and so we're very, very happy to release this new player versus player questionnaire moment. There are no wrong answers, but we're hoping that we can break the ice with you, Cicero, just like so many runners will be breaking some vaults next week.
Hey,
Uh,
Oh,
so, first questionnaire we have here. This is a little conceptual, and you really have to lean on your Destiny experience that you might have. But would you consider yourself a Titan, a Warlock, or a Hunter? Are you more of a combat-focused player, support, or stealth sort of a player in a fire
Hunter's like a
team?
stealth rogue, but also
yeah,
like a
yeah.
glass cannon, right? Kind of.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I already know what the answer is. I have been one. I am one. I still am one. I am a warlock.
Hell yeah.
Say more. Do you like are you Nova bombing people? Are you healing
Oh yeah.
people? What are you
Yeah,
what's
so I was Nova bombing, then I was a healer. I really do enjoy playing support classes, so that like it always gives me an opportunity that if I'm not really good at the action part of the game, I can at least be good at helping the people that are good with the action part of the game stay alive long enough so that they can do the action stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually the same boat. That's exactly the same for me. Warlock all the way. I did become to take the question more literally, like especially in Destiny, they really stumbled upon something with Marathon where you can chuck the heals at your friends. That's what that game really needed. Like it was
Yeah.
nice to be able to put a little pool down, but it was like utility wise. I want to be like an action healer. You know what I mean? I want to be like a combat medic, rather than like hanging back. But yeah, Warlocks are the best. I love the Warlock. Plus, you get like a cool robe.
Right. Yeah. I'm all about the robes.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lando Calrissian. A cloak. I'm a big cloak guy.
All right, and that brings us to question number two. What is your preferred platform?
Preferred platform is Xbox. Um, I mean I have an affinity for the PlayStation controller. I think it's larger. My hands are bigger. It's larger. I love the way that it works. But the the Xbox platform itself, right? The service that it provides within Xbox Live, and the interface, the UI, the interface, everything else is definitely a lot cleaner than the PlayStation One, which says I think more about how bad the PlayStation UI is than it does about how
Yeah.
good the Xbox One is. But yeah, I think the community in the Xbox walled garden is a better, more enriched, more thoughtful one than the one in PlayStation.
I felt like they had the Xbox UI like really nailed, and then they were like, let's put in as many ads as we can, and they like kind
Yes,
of ruined it.
yes,
For me, it's
yes.
Xbox all the way, no question about it. Yeah, it's not even close. I'm in the process of trying to plan getting an Xbox tattoo, all the way, Xbox.
Nice. I am the PS5 uh, exclusive player right now. I am definitely enjoying it. It's just the only console I have. I will say though, the UI is trash. I am trying to pull clips of our runs off of the PlayStation to my USB storage. Even just navigating to your media gallery, you have to like go into the settings in order to do it. I don't know, maybe there's some other way to do it, but like I'm having to get deep into the settings menu just to like look at the videos that I've recorded. So, yeah, PlayStation UI is absolutely trash.
My Xbox clips automatically upload themselves to a OneDrive folder when
Right,
I'm done recording
right.
them. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's like they thought about it beforehand.
I might be able to do that. I'm not gonna fully blame the PlayStation on this, but
Yeah.
it's certainly not intuitive. It's certainly
Well,
not intuitive.
here's the thing, Robomantis. You've been gaming your entire life.
Correct.
You also understand how computers work. Um,
Correct.
if you can't find the settings that you need to do the thing that you want on your gaming console, the fault is not yours, right? The fault is there's not an aptitude problem there. There is an interface problem there. So even if you there is, that's not your fault. That's the fault of the designers, and I think we'll actually probably touch on that later on in this podcast.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about a lot of
Foreshadowing.
mistakes that designers have made over the years for sure. All right, that brings us to question number three. Describe your first impression of Marathon in 5 words or fewer.
5 words.
Um,
Okay.
all right, so here's what I'll say. HFS, this is good. Or actually, HFS, this good.
Um,
How
are you
I don't
struggling with the
understand what
HFS?
HFS is.
Oh, kids, tell your uncles what HFS is. So I don't know, I don't know how much you can curse on this show. So,
As much as
uh,
as much
As
as we
much
want,
as you
let's keep it
fucking
moving.
want.
all right, well, holy fucking shit. That's HFS. Holy fucking shit. This this good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think my okay, so my five, if I'm allowed to count sci-fi as one word, are going to be fear, vibrant, sci-fi, future, fear.
Mm.
So fear
Double
is two out of
fear.
the 5 words. Yeah.
Got a bookend of fear. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say Synth Silk Failure, the podcast. I think that's,
Ooh.
the number one impression that
Ooh.
everyone should be having on Marathon at this point in
This
time.
guy, this guy.
Always pushing it. All right. Uh, question four. What is your most played game so far of 2026? And as a follow-up, what was your most played game of 2025?
My most played game so far of 2026 has got to be NCAA College Football 26.
Nice.
What was my most played game of 2025? It was NCAA College Football 26. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so the thing that I love about sports games is Hey, look, guys. I just want to let you guys know on Tau 74, I'm not exactly sure how you guys understand how time works, but on here on Earth, time is a precious commodity that the older you get, the more of it you lose. And when I have my gaming time, I don't want to spend the time trying to remember where I was in a specific narrative game or remembering the controls of some RPG if I know I only have two
Preach.
hours to game. Um, so I love playing games that are repetitive, that have definitive ends. So sports games are great, right? I can go in, like my aptitude is understanding what's going on in the game. I don't have to necessarily remember button combinations, and I know that the game will end at when the gun chimes and it's over,
It's like
right?
an episodic TV show, you know?
It is,
Everything's
it
just gonna
is.
reset back to where it was at the end, and you don't have to
Yes.
really like worry about what happened, you know?
Right.
Just run it back next
Right.
time.
So yeah, and what's been cool is I've been playing specifically college football with some friends in their perpetual career mode. You're a coach and you can get jobs and you're recruiting players and that kind of stuff, and you just kind of rinse and repeat and you do
Oh,
it all
Marathon
over
has all
again.
that stuff too. You got to
Right,
recruit
right,
coaches.
exactly. So it is why my answer to number three was exactly what it was because of how repetitive and how good marathon can be with those things. So
Yeah.
yeah, like extraction shooters are good if they are good, and we'll get to that later as well. But
Whoa,
sports
whoa, whoa. That's
games,
a hot take if I ever
right,
heard one.
right. Well, I'm talking about in terms of the types of games that Stubby Stan will sit
Yeah,
down
totally.
and
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
repetitively,
I think
right?
we have
Play
the same. Yeah.
continuously.
Hmm.
So extraction shooters are good if they're good. Sports games are great for that type of stuff. And your typical Battlefield, Call of Duty games can be good for that unless the meta the meta has evolved beyond your skill, and or the game has advanced beyond your understanding of it. So those are always things that I always think about when I'm sitting down, the couple of hours a night or whatever that I have to play.
Yeah, for me, my most played game of this year so far is definitely Marathon, but my most played game of last year is probably NHL 20. It's either 25 or 26. The game always comes out in like September or something like that,
Right,
so it
right,
kind of just like depends on which time of the year I'm playing more. But yeah, the sports game comparison is really apt, and I think that's something where a lot of like you see like a lot. I don't know. To me, like Call of Duty constantly falls down on like keeping up with the meta, and it gets
right,
really stale and weird and specific like very quickly. And like Marathon, I feel like they do almost treat it as a sports game where they're really watching like, okay, this is more. And I mean, they were the same way with Destiny, right? But like they're constantly watching and they're seeing like if they were watching NCAA college football and they were like, oh wow, 99% of touchdowns are on this specific kind of running play, they would tweak it, right? Because that's
right,
not how football is like supposed to work. And I think
right.
they do a good job of doing that same kind of approach with Marathon, where like they're always making sure there's multiple approaches that are valid in like a situation.
All right, and we are in the second half of the questionnaire here. So I'm going to do these last four questions, a little bit more of a rapid fire question.
Right.
Question number five, how do you shot web?
Thwip, thwip,
B, press B.
thwip.
Question six, best game controller.
Um, Pack in PS5. Outside of that, the very fragile Elite controller.
For me, it's the Xbox controller S. So there were no shoulder buttons. There were still black and white buttons, but it really got the, Xbox kind of silhouette that we're familiar with now. Oh, I get like nostalgia just thinking about that controller. Mm.
No, the correct answer on that one was the Duke. All right, question seven, favorite marathon shell or ability?
Seeing as how I've only used one, uh, was it triage?
Triage.
And my favorite ability is throwing out some drones. You want some health? You can have some health.
Feeling better.
T Monny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, the one that is the most consistent, the Vandal, whatever you call it, the charge shot thing, the hand cannon thing, specifically because it knocks people back and it's just creates like chaos in a very fun way.
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Vandal recently, and launching one of those shots into like a cluster
I
of
think they've buffed it. Yeah.
bots is so funny to just like bounce a commander back at like a guarded exfil or something
Well, the
like
number
that.
of times when we'll be like, okay, incoming, and then like you'll be like, whoa, what? Like somebody will be like, what? What did someone just do? And I'm like, yeah, that was the Vandal cannon. Like, it's so
So
satisfying.
good. All right, and last and probably most importantly for this podcast, question 8, when will Marathon die?
Boy.
When will it die? It will die 6 months before it ends.
Ho! Um,
Wise.
I think, yeah, that my answer looks stupid now. I'm gonna say almost exactly 12 months from now, sometime in July of 2027, they will announce that it's been a fun ride and we're ending support for Marathon.
Yeah. And with that, we are going to do what we do best, which is enjoy Marathon while it lasts and go ahead and take our running break. So we will see you all on Tau Ceti 4.
I'm already there.
All right, runners, and welcome back. We hope you had a lovely running break. I know we all certainly did. We definitely took a real running break. We were definitely playing Marathon. Not,
I'm exhausted.
yeah, my hands
Out of breath.
cramping up. But we're gonna regale y'all with some great tales of our time running together, and let's just jump into the show. So. As always, we're going to start off a little bit with the state of Marathon. User count, when I checked before we started recording, was about 4,400. We are now up to 4,700. So
Whoa,
wow.
it's a renaissance.
300 people who have joined on Steam. We see you, we appreciate you, and we validate you.
And you're welcome, Bungie, because they're probably there from listening to our show, you know? I mean, it stands to reason.
Yeah, they were on their running break together with us for sure. Last week we talked a little bit about how the patch notes were somewhat light for the last week, and then I checked the patch notes today, and there really weren't any for this week in particular. A lot of information for next week. Next week they're going to be releasing the experimental PvE mode, Vault Breaker, as well as a bunch of icon changes, balance tweaks. They're, I think, nerfing the Mizraya shotgun and buffing the Waster shotgun and doing all sorts of things like that.
Because you brought it up, I just need to take a moment in a little self-serving corrections section. Last episode, I was like, man, I don't even know how to use the Mizraya. I think I was thinking of some railgun or something like that because Carrie started giving away Mizrayas and is like the most simple to use basic, pump action shotgun straight out of any Rainbow Six game. So I just feel it's important for people to know that I do understand how to pull the trigger and fire a pump action shotgun. And the Mizraya is actually a lot of fun. I like it a lot. But I had indeed never encountered it until Carrie started giving them out.
Yeah, and last week I had mentioned that I had never gotten one. I had never used it. Now
Were you
Carrie has
beatboxing
given
it?
them
Wasn't
out.
as
I
than
have
as
two
internet
of them,
first.
including
Yeah, I'm a little.
one of them that I was able to instantly upgrade to a purple, and then was afraid to use. So I still haven't used the Mizraya
is the way.
shotgun. Maybe in that final day before wipe, I'll get the courage to actually take it out on a run.
Yeah.
So with that, our last topic of State of Marathon that we have right now is another one of our special news reports. I think it's important when we're looking at the State of Marathon to talk about the game director leaving the studio. I guess that might be somewhat relevant to the overall health of the game and where things are. So, for those of you who aren't aware, Joe Ziegler, who was the game director on Marathon, announced just a few days ago that he was leaving Bungie for some other unannounced project, and he was formally passing the torch over to the rest of the team at Bungie. T Monny, Stubby Stan, any thoughts on whether it's a good thing when a game director leaves a game 4 months after it launches?
How could
Well,
it not be?
right,
Seems
right.
great.
Well, I mean, when you pose the question like that, I well, what I will say, right? Like, I am wearing glasses. They're not rose colored, but let's pretend that they are. Um, if someone decides that their services aren't a good fit for where they are currently, and they decide to leave, that's got to be a good thing, right? Like, you don't want somebody who's disgruntled, working for, who's disgruntled at their job to be working for you if they have choices to do something else. And that is even, it's even more pronounced when that person is the game director. So if Joe decided that, hey, look, I need to change, I need to make a change, then let's go ahead and do that. The other thing you can say is that he was directing the game, and under his watch, the player count went from from its peak
Like
to its lowest,
88,000.
right, to its lowest point. And since he's left, the player count has gone up.
That's true. It's interesting. I really like, that's a good point. And obviously, like I feel a little bad saying this. I didn't even think about this at all from the individual perspective. You know what I mean? There's something funny about like when somebody's in management, you sort of like, I don't know. It's like less of a tragedy. It feels like when obviously like, somebody voluntarily leaves their job at the top and probably has other options versus like, this is obviously of a different character than the layoffs we've been talking about. However, I was still thinking about it kind of in that same vein where like, you're absolutely right that we don't want some disgruntled employee working there, but like, why is he like, you gotta gruntle that guy up if you're Sony, right? You know what I mean? Like that's the thing to me is that if Sony had an attitude like, hey, we've dropped a lot of money into this game and maybe it's not performing the way we hoped, but this is our horse and we're like riding it to, wherever, like that would suggest that they need to sweeten the pot for this guy, right? And like even just the appearance of like this level of chaos in the studio is probably not gonna. I mean, who knows? We'll keep an eye on the player count. Maybe it won't matter. Maybe it'll have the opposite effect that I'm thinking of. But like, I mean, there's a whole genre of online marathon death watch commentary out there, and this just really like feeds that fire in a way that kind of like surprises me that Sony would let that happen at this time, right? And so because of that, to me, it does suggest a more serious level of like mismanagement or lack of like faith or commitment on the part of the publisher. But who knows? Obviously, that's all just speculation on my part. But it's certainly I don't know. The player count thing is hilarious, but it's hard to see, especially because it's not like, oh, this guy's leaving and like we have this new director. It's kind of just like the next man up kind of thing. And I'm sure the people who are stepping into that role are like more than competent and capable. And it's like we owe the game we've been enjoying to their passion a lot, I'm sure, but it just doesn't seem like a studio that's in great health.
But let's be frank, it's not a studio that's in good health, right? And the likely reality, the logical reality is Joe read the tea leaves. He realizes, he's listening to the 4-string quartet play on the Titanic as it's going down, and is like, all right, well, let me control my own destiny, pun not
Heyo.
intended, right? And make a move when when I can, as opposed to as a person who is living the embodiment of the last 2 years in terms of being a person in IT who got laid off for speculative stuff. It's a lot easier to find a job when you have a job, or to be poached for a job when you have a job, than it is when you don't have a job. So Joe, reading the tea leaves, probably was like, hey, there's this opportunity. The opportunity sounds great. Let me go ahead and explore that opportunity, because there ain't nothing, the future here is the past, right? And maybe there's some actual future someplace else. So
Yeah, and just looking at Joe's LinkedIn a little bit, I don't think this is incredibly, surprising that he would at some point make this kind of move. This is sort of what he did with Valorant. So,
oh,
he
okay.
spent like over a decade working at Riot Games, kind of building his way up, and then he was the senior game director for Valorant for a few years, just
Sure.
basically, getting that game launched, getting that game ready. And then once that was, already out in the world, it was pretty successful. He had kind of, fulfilled his creative vision, if you want to frame it like that. That's when he took this opportunity to come over to Bungie and work at Marathon. So, if we're trying to be optimistic about it, I always want to validate, like, hey, games are art. So much of this conversation is dominated by business and shareholder reports and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, like, whether he was gruntled or not, you do want an artist to be fully passionate about the work they're doing, fully engaged, and if he's done and he's ready to move on, then I think that is always a good thing. I think the thing that is hard to ignore is this is 4 months after the game has launched, and it is very hard to believe that if this was, the most popular game on the market right now, or even just doing like around Destiny numbers, it's hard to think that he would have left so quickly just based on that.
It also really feels like to kind of cut against the whole like this game has felt since it's come out like very we're only getting a slice of it and there's a lot more to come, right? Like even Cryo Archive, they were like, welcome to the first deck of the UESC
Right.
marathon ship or whatever. And it's like, oh, there's other decks, right? Like there's gonna be other raids. And there were these like zombie runners in Night Marsh, and like there's obviously like way more to come with the anomaly. And so that's part of what makes it seem a little less rosy to me is like sort of I get what you guys both are saying, but it's sort of like if you're that excited for what's to come, right? It doesn't seem like job done. It doesn't seem like, oh, Marathon is this big success and now I can move on to some other big success. It's like if there's a big success for Marathon, it is still to come, and it's not at all clear that there is. So
Yeah, and hopefully, as you mentioned, Ty, there are some. The game is hopefully being put into some good hands. The new game director is a guy named Dell Chafe the Third, or Chafe or something. I apologize, Dell, if you're listening. He's working for Bungie for 15 plus years. He was like, a design director on Taken King, I think, which is, largely considered to be the best expansion in Destiny history. And then Julia Nardine is taking over as creative director, or she was already working in creative director and taking on more responsibilities or something like that. And again, she's been working for Bungie for 7 years. Tons of great work on Destiny and things like that. So hopefully we, do have a team that's ready to take up the mantle and, give this game as much life as it can hold on to. Maybe throw that triage drone to the game before it bleeds out. But
feeling better.
yeah, exactly. Hopefully we're all feeling better with these new doctor's orders. Any last thoughts on that before we move on to our favorite run of the week?
Nah, it's always better for games when you get to enjoy the game and you don't have to think about the people making it. I mean, that came out a little different than I intended it, but I mean, that is right. As the game maker, that is the goal, right? Is to disappear within the thing you've created, and I think hopefully, like next week, we're so excited talking about Vault Breakers and awesome experiences that we're not even thinking about this anymore, right?
Right. 100% guaranteed to happen.
So my personal favorite run of the week was a little adventure the three of us had on Outpost. And Stubby Stan, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was your first time going into the Pinwheel when the three of us did that together, correct?
Yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah, we went into the Pinwheel.
Well, wasn't that your first time like playing Outpost?
Right. Maybe... Well, I mean, yes, that day was my first time playing Outpost, and and then going into the Pinwheel, I didn't even know that was a thing that happened. That used to be a show on Nickelodeon for very old people. So.
Yeah, so to set us off, Stubby Stan, you were looking for a fight, right? You had gotten that first Arachne contract that said, damage other runners, or down a runner, or something like that. And so
I think that was our sole objective in loading into the run. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Right. And, Outpost is a map that it's a little smaller. Not as many teams, but it's usually a map where if you're trying to look for a fight, you can usually find one just because the players are so close. Players kind of go into it with a PvP mindset. And so we loaded in trying to look for a fight. We were in Airfield and made our way into the building after fleeing the Warden and a heat cascade. And we ended up very, very close to the Pinwheel entrance with 2 green key cards, which is what you need to open up the Pinwheel. I think, personally speaking, T Monny, I don't want to speak for you, but you're maybe a little more Pinwheel cautious, Pinwheel hesitant.
Yeah, fuck the Pinwheel. I don't need the Pinwheel. Like, what am I getting in the Pinwheel? Killed.
You're getting purple loot, maybe even a gold loot. You're getting like a bag full of stuff.
Right, and then I'm getting killed before I can exfil it. So
right. You get to see it before you die.
But that is really, but genuinely, that has always been, that's the core tension of the game. But, right, that is always, I think the thing I said was, I would rather not go into the Pinwheel unless we are prepared in advance to go into the Pinwheel. And this game is so good about turning advantage into disadvantage and turning your opportunity to strike into your greatest liability, if the strike doesn't work or doesn't go the way that you expected or whatever. So, I was very hey guys, let's maybe not go in the Pinwheel because we're not prepared to do that.
I'm a little more Pinwheel positive, I think, in general. When I'm on Outpost, I feel it over my head, and I know I can smell the loot radiating down from the Pinwheel. And so always in the back of my mind, even if I'm doing a quest, even if I'm not trying to go in the Pinwheel, in the back of my head, there's always a little thought of but got to get in that Pinwheel, right? So we were presented with the opportunity to go into the Pinwheel. And I think with a combination of my Pinwheel enthusiasm and Stubby Stan, your bravery in activating any button or terminal,
right? Yeah, I mean,
find.
I was full on episode 1 Anakin Skywalker pushing buttons. Right? What does this do? That was me everywhere.
We have, as a running crew, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have gotten to the coordinate datapad cache twice because Cicero had picked up both of the coordinate data pads and we didn't realize.
Yep.
We're like, what's this blue thing? And we got there. Did you pick up a thing?
I picked up a lot of things. I might have. This button. It says hack a thing. I got a hack.
What's the matter? You can't tell the 800 icons apart from each other in this game?
That one has an extra pixel in it.
It's got a slightly yellow background. That's how you know it's important.
I just want to color this in for a couple of for the people that are listening. So prior to this run, T Monny and I had done a couple of duos. So this particular day, the outpost was the duo map, and so T Monny and I ran some duo outpost runs. With me having no knowledge of the map whatsoever, we're doing these duo runs, and in both of those runs, we almost immediately run into run into opposing runners.
To provide some additional color to your color, I'm like, man, this is going really well, dude. Like you haven't, like you've barely died at all. Like you haven't even lost anyone. And you're like, well, we've been doing mostly like perimeter, and like I'm sure the more experienced players are on outpost. And then, like, sure enough, we play outpost, and like within 3 minutes, we're just getting rocked by other crews.
Right. And there's one point in there where I actually down a couple of, like we're fighting with a couple of runners. We down some runners who do that stuff, but I don't have the contract. I'm not using the Arachne contract at that particular moment.
That's how it goes.
And we're, so we're just in there, we're doing a thing. So then when Robomantis gets on and it's the three of us, I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go to Outpost and I can do this thing. And here we are, and we're in the Pinwheel now because I push buttons.
Well, and I think the thought or the strategy, if we had one, was when you open the Pinwheel via the key cards, it opens the doors for everybody. So there's two other entrances that immediately open up for people to get into the Pinwheel, and it sets off this really loud alarm. And on other players' screens, there's like a little call out that pops up that says, "Hey, Pinwheel's been breached. Somebody's in the Pinwheel." So I almost thought of it as like we're ringing the dinner bell, right? Like we're opening up the best part of the map, and we're telling people, "Hey, we're here." So we were hoping, I think, by going into the Pinwheel, that we would find a fight. Cut to 3 minutes later, or 3 minutes left on the clock. We still haven't found any players. We've got some good bags. We've done a good loot run of the Pinwheel, but we do not have, we haven't completed that quest, and we don't have any guarded exfils that we can do to get out of the map. So now we're stuck in the Pinwheel. We've only got a few minutes left.
I would say this is really when our team cohesion asserted itself, and we came together as one solid unit.
Yes, we moved as one. We
come to consensus on a clear plan.
Right.
It was beautiful.
So we had two options. We either just wait for the final exfil, or there were two exfils that were available where you need a master keycard. We don't have a master keycard. The only thing I know to do is sometimes if you fight commanders, they might drop a master keycard. And so I see we have a secured blue container in front of us. I know, hey, usually when you call one of those in, you're going to get a fight of one, maybe two commanders that come in. I do not know what happened when I activated that supply crate, but we had, I don't know, a series of 6, 7, 8 different commanders load in, as opposed to a bunch of, in addition to a bunch of other UESC. And very, very quickly, Stubby Stan and myself, the ones who led T Monny into this Pinwheel, are both down. And now T Monny is running out of ammo and trying to fight seemingly the entire UESC fleet by himself. T Monny, what was your experience of that?
Pretty much joy. I was happy. I felt safe and secure, and I was really glad that we had wound up in that situation. But for real, though, honestly, nothing makes me happier than like being the one that gets to like bail the team out. You know what I mean? Like
right.
there is definitely a satisfaction in being like, I knew we shouldn't have done this shit, but I got you guys.
So Stubby Stan and I are both being attacked by a commander. It's already got its hooks into Stubby Stan, and
Like literally,
slowly
I didn't
sucking
even know
the
that was
life.
a thing. Like
Yeah.
It's not super clear why they do that to me, but you know.
it felt like he was trying to take my life force from me, but like I was expiring at the same rate, it seemed.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It's not clear that it makes a huge difference. He's trying to extract your synth silk so he could shoot more web.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So we sort of split off. We drag him away from T Monny to try to, get a little bit of heat off him. And then we separate. Stubby Stan, you go one direction. I do like a little loop and then loop my way back. So I'm just dragging my bleeding corpse around a room, just in a circle. And eventually I kind of lasso back around, get to T Monny. He revives me, but it is not in time for the commander for us to save you from the commander. No. You fully expire, Stubby Stan.
Yeah.
And we are at less than a minute left. T Monny's got no ammo. You need to be revived, and then we need to get to the final exfil as quickly as possible. At this point in time, T Monny, I believe you just went over and started knifing the commander to death. Is that right?
Yeah, I had some smoke grenades, so that made things pretty... I mean, honestly, from my perspective, like, when I was, like, clear of you guys, and I popped smoke, and it was just kind of like a waiting game to figure out, like, do I need to revive you first, or do I need to try and, like, clear these guys out, or what? So the smoke was, like, super clutch in that situation.
I revived Stubby Stan, and we are, like, at the countdown for the final exfil. Like, by the time we get him up, it's just like, we need to go. I'm probably the person who's the most familiar with the map. I run over to a little vent where you can drop down and hopefully land pretty close to the final exfil. I tell you guys, like, as soon as we get up, like, we need to just run. And I say, follow me. But I don't think I really wait for you at all. So I drop through the vent, and then I spend the next 10, 15 seconds panicking, being like, did you guys see where I went? How did you guys even find the vent?
It was the Force. Anakin Skywalker. I was the chosen one. What are you talking about? You literally said it was a vent, and I looked around and I was like, oh, here, there's a vent. Let me go in there. And then I dropped down. Like, that was it. It was really just, thoughts and prayers.
So throughout all of that, we didn't get the contract done, but we did, all three of us, make it to the final exfil with, I think, about 10 seconds left. We're being shot by some other bots. I'm the destroyer. I pop down my shield, and thankfully we all get out alive with another successful marathon run.
That was cool. Like, I don't know if anything was actually... Like, I don't know how much damage your shield actually absorbed, but that was really cool to get to the exfil with just a few seconds left, and you were like, get behind me! And I looked up and you had the, like, the destroyer shield out, and we're, like, blocking the exfil for us, and, like... That's a cool... I've never super figured out a great utility for that shield, but, like, it does create some pretty badass moments like that.
I said get behind me with my voice, and then on my instance of the game, my destroyer said it a second later. He was like, get behind me. It was very, very satisfying.
That's awesome. Yeah. To me, I was unfamiliar with the fact that if you are essentially thirsted, you can still be revived by your teammates and brought back.
Right. You were
that
like panicking.
Became clear to
you
me.
were like, I'm almost dead.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not going to say anything. And it's just going to be exciting for him when he's back alive.
And it absolutely was. It absolutely was. That was awesome. I was like, all right, well,
because you were kind of like getting a little bit like urgent, and then you expired, and you're like, all right, that's it, and you were kind of like resigned,
right?
And like we were just like, it's fine, And then
Right,
and I was
right,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I was kind of perplexed by the level of apathy that people have
Nonchalance
for
about you.
right,
Yeah.
right,
You're like, I lost all this gear.
yeah, right. Like, yeah. I mean, I think for me, what was most memorable about that run was it definitely had it lived up to the horror aspect of it all because we, here we are in the Goonies cave, and we've got a bunch of loot, right? And we're like, all right, so Robomantis is like, hey, we're in here, and we haven't done the thing that we were in here to do, and we haven't even encountered any runners. So let's go and do this thing. And I'm like, hey, I'm here for a good time, but my bag's also full. So, and it's
Right.
full with pretty good gear. I could get out of here. And T Monny's like, yeah, I don't have any more space. I can get out of here. And Robomantis is like, yeah, I don't have any space yet, but let's go and find more gear. Right. and then I'm like, well, the
There's
clock
always
says
better gear.
right. The clock's like, there's 3 minutes left. Maybe we should leave this place that we don't know how to get out of and leave with this gear.
That was a funny part when Robo, you're like, so what do you guys want to do? And we're just like,
It's like,
I
leave?
think you're the only one that actually like truly understands how to get out of here.
Right. And you're
I
like,
still
okay,
stand
cool,
by-
let's press forward.
I still stand by my decision. We used
It worked out.
The little bit of time we had left to maybe open up a spot for a slightly faster exfil. But ultimately, we made it to the final. We could have sat there waiting for 3 minutes, but we wouldn't have this to talk about. And
Right.
that's the joy
Right.
of
It
playing
worked out.
Marathon.
It worked out. Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, speaking of the joy of playing Marathon, I certainly think, T Monny and I have been playing quite a bit of duos over our time, especially in Season 2 when they brought that back as a regular feature. And we have really enjoyed Stubby Stan, you joining us and really opening up the dynamic of the actual crew tier. Last week, we were talking a lot about how we basically ran triage and recon because those are sort of like the two most crucial shells. But all of a sudden, having 3 players started to open up our play styles a little bit, which we've really been enjoying.
Yeah, I knew. So when I invited you to play with us, Stubby Stan, I've been trying to get you to play with us for a little while, and I'm very excited that you have joined us. And I knew from playing other games with you, particularly sports games, like we talked about, but also a little bit of the Battlefield, like whatever that was called. Is that what RedSec was, or whatever, the extraction mode of Battlefield or whatever?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you were going to be a solid addition to the running crew, primarily for your like communication abilities. You are an outstanding communicator in life, but in video games in particular. And I remember when I first played NHL with you, it was the most fun I ever had playing NHL because you were like constantly communicating. Like every play, you'd be like, "Oh, good try," like "try this," and like "good job," and like just like constantly. Tons of situational awareness, tons of encouragement. So I was really excited for that. I was not prepared for you to bring like a crazy level of just like gunplay ability to the game, like that was brand new to you, right? Like that some game you've played for a long time, sure. But like kind of from the first time you picked up Marathon, it seemed like we were extremely successful in both PvE and PvP. Right. I just wanted to hear about it. You attributed that to something that you see in a ton of the reviews, which is like it's a Bungie game, right? Like
right.
You know how it's gonna feel and how the guns are kind of gonna perform and everything. But anyway, I want to pass it over to you just to talk a little bit about kind of your first impressions of the game and of playing in a fire team or a running crew, I should call it.
Right. The running fire team is well. So the thing that I have, I will save or I'm not even going to save it. I'm going to spoil the end for everyone. I absolutely adore this game. And I want to go on record and apologize to you, T Monny, for not playing it sooner. But I also will take away my apology by saying if I had played this game sooner, I'd be as disappointed as you guys are in the fact that this game is as great as it is, and it's also going to be dying, right? Like so I'm just coming to that realization like now, and that kind of sucks. But it would really suck when there was a chance to like kind of save it and it didn't. But it's amazing, and the thing that makes it amazing is Bungie knows how to make great shooters, right? And they have consistently, and I don't know if it's they know how to make great shooters or they know how to make great shooters for me. They know how to make great gunplay for me, and it just works, right? Like, and maybe it's the guns that I'm picking, whatever it is, but it works, and I absolutely love it. And so that has been a thing that has allowed me to really, really enjoy this game. I have a little bit about me in terms of my understanding and my relationship with looter shooters, or not looter shooters but extraction looters. Is I played Arc Raiders, and Arc Raiders is an absolutely gorgeous game. It is an immersive game. The way that I think the onboarding for how they introduce you to the world, how they immerse you in the world is very, very good. Where I think that game falls apart, or at least where it lost me, was specifically in the gunplay. They have a diverse set of weapons that can upgrade, and as you modify the guns, their performance changes dramatically. And so much so, and on top of that, the certain weapons work well on NPCs and are effectively ineffective on actual people, actual players, and then vice versa, right? Like, so you have to understand which gun to use in which particular situation, but you also have to understand how that gun operates, how you're going to be able to operate with that gun.
Dude, I didn't know that. Do you think that's part of why the game has developed such a reputation for, like, people? I mean, that people are generally, like, less PvP focused in that game, or a lot of people who play it are.
Yeah, definitely.
And that makes sense
now,
if it's just easier for you to set up a loadout that is harmful to AI and maybe not so good against PvP players, and then if the game's going to lobby you with other people doing the same thing. That's really interesting.
Yeah, there's another part of that, and that's the lore. That, like, because the game is so good at immersing you, right? And part of the reason that the game is so good at immersing you is because the environments feel familiar, even if it's not Earth.
Do you mean that's what makes people not want to murk each other? Is that, like,
yes,
it feels
right,
like
because
you actually identify with the other
because the lore says, hey, we all live underground. Robots have taken over the surface. We live underground. We're just out there scavenging, trying to find our stuff to get, to just be better and survive.
Contrast to Marathon,
right,
where they're actively encouraging you to not empathize with other runners.
Right. And you don't, like, you're not in Marathon. When you kill another runner, you're not committing genocide, right? Like, you're not part of removing people from
continuing
the
to drain the last drops of the human population.
Exactly, right? So that's so there's definitely that part within Arc Raiders, but the other part within Arc Raiders is the very difference in the way the guns perform, and how their effectiveness on the different enemies that you may the opponents that you may face while you're playing the game. But one of the things that really frustrated me with that game was, again, the variance in how those guns performed made it really frustrating when you went in with a gun that you weren't necessarily familiar with and you tried to use it in a fight, right? Like the first time you go to use it is in a fight, and this is something that you said in the previous episode, T Monny. See, not only am I a participant, but I'm also a fan. Where I would love for them to have a gun range where you could just go in, and when you pick up a gun, you can just go in the gun range and just shoot the gun, right? Like, let me see what this spread is like. Let me see what happens when I pull the trigger, what happens when I hold the trigger, right? Like, let me understand this weapon so that when I take it out on a run and I need to use it, I know what to expect.
Yeah. And I think Marathon obviously could benefit from that just as well as Arc Raiders. However, I think like we talked a little bit about this, and like the guns in Marathon are just much more readable.
Yes.
If you have any, especially if you have any experience with other Bungie games, right, you have a pretty good sense right up. Like, it is not hard to figure out like the difference between kind of the kinetic ammo and the volt ammo, and it might take you a couple rounds to like figure out some of the nuances. But overall, it's like if you're at all familiar with any Bungie games before this, I think the guns are like it's very straightforward. Like, you
Yes.
figure out, is this a single shot? Is this fully automatic? Is there some way to charge it? And from there, it's pretty straightforward, and like all the guns have a nice utility, in certain situations,
Right,
and a feel to them that is
right,
just it just reinforces that role constantly, right? Everything from the way the Volt Thrower like locks on to people, and the way the optics look and stuff like that. It's just
right.
very like it's kind of like suggesting to you as a user how the gun should be used.
There's almost like a one-to-one analog between some of the guns in Marathon versus, some of the guns in Destiny, some of the guns in Halo. Like, you can say the
I
Volt
think it's
Thrower.
very close to like Halo 3. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Volt Thrower absolutely feels like the plasma rifle from Halo.
Right.
The Strider feels like the Mida multi-tool. And so it is, especially, if you do have that familiarity, like, not only do the guns just feel good, but they also feel like guns that you've used before with maybe
Right.
some slight tweaks.
Right, definitely, and that's to both of your points. You see that Bungie DNA, and I have used a bunch of guns. I clearly haven't used them. Maybe level 17 in Marathon, but I've used a bunch of guns in Marathon. There are guns that I've used that I'm like, I don't think I'll use this a lot, but I haven't used a gun where I'm like, oh, this thing sucks. I don't, get this away from me. Never show it to me again. And that, I think, is a testament to just how good Bungie is when it comes to the gunplay in their games.
And all that also plays into the FOMO of like the looting process, right? So there's not really any gun that you feel super. I mean, you do get to the
Right.
point where some of the stuff like a standard V11 punch or whatever is like pretty pass upable, but you know that there's potential in a given situation for any weapon. And so especially if you load in with a sponsored kit with only one, pretty much any second that you find is going to be a big improvement and going to be something you're happy to find.
Right.
I want to move away from the gun play a little bit
Sure.
into more of the just like kind of the extraction concept and what your experience has been like with like leveling up and stuff like that. Because in you may recall, 5 words to describe what this game was like. In my first impressions, 2 out of the 5 words were fear. Right. And while we were chatting, playing at one time, you said that this game actually for you was a little less like survival horror-y. In the way we were playing it than like something like Arc Raiders. And I'm just really struck by like season 1 was a little more brutal in Marathon just because of the game balance. It was a lot less generous and a lot more grindy as far as like raising up your floor with like getting the ability to get sponsored kits and like shields and stuff like that every day for free, and kind of like make it so when you fall down you're not falling as far. So you've kind of benefited, I think, a little bit from like avoiding that like really
Right.
brutal season 1, and also from like just playing with us a lot and with people who
Right.
know what they're doing. And I still like when I play solos, I'm still in a lot of fear a lot of the times, but like when I'm playing with one or both of you, it is a lot less scary, and it feels like we can handle more situations. And I think that's more of the way you've been playing with us, where it's kind of like, yeah, we can handle some stuff, right? We don't need to like kind of panic at every sound of a footstep. And so I'm just really curious about kind of your impressions about like the brutality of the game and the loot economy, and like kind of like, you know, it has this reputation for being like ultra hardcore, and whether you feel like that's been your experience, and yeah, just kind of discussing all that.
So when I said it felt less survival or horror-y or whatever the word is, we played a couple more matches, and then Marathon was like, hey, hold my beer, and and then we did Night Marsh, we did Dire Marsh at night, and the sound design in this game really up the ante, right? Unreal. Like it really was like, you're out there and you hear all of the environmental, the ambient noise, and it really becomes, oh, what was that? What was that? What was this? And you hear the footsteps, and so there definitely is a movie monster is down the hallway element of this game that is pervasive, and consistent through this game. The thing that makes it less scary for me, and I'm sorry to do this to you, T Monny, but is that I feel confident with the weapon that I have, that even if there is a thing that pops out, that I have the means to exterminate it. And that level of confidence removes some of the fear. It doesn't remove the jump scare aspect of it. It doesn't remove the like, holy shit, it's right there.
You're always under threat,
right?
But you're never helpless.
I'm never helpless. Exactly right. So that is the thing that I really appreciate about this game, as opposed to the other extraction shooter, right? Like we were talking about the genre. My full introduction to the genre was probably Arc Raiders. Now I've played other extraction shooter modes in other shooters. Call of Duty had one, Battlefield I think had one, right? Like, so there are, those were modes, but the first real game that was, like the game was extraction shooting, was Arc Raiders. I didn't play Tarkov or anything like that. And Arc Raiders, again, part of the thing that made it more scary is like these environments are environments that I could live in. And so that immersion level was a little bit more, it felt more real. And there's sometimes a level of helplessness when you're facing these AIs and you don't know if the gun you have is powerful enough to hit the plates, if your aim is good enough to do the thing that you need to do to destroy those things before you get bum rushed by a bunch of them, or third party by a human or something like that. When that stuff is going on, that makes that game a little bit more scary. And another part of that is the way I've been able to find an abundance of loot in this game in ways that makes losing loot not feel catastrophic.
Yeah.
And I think that in Arc Raiders, my experience was if I lost a weapon that I'd worked on and I developed and I upgraded, but still don't really know how to use, I was infinitely more frustrated than, case in point, when T Monny and I went out to Outpost duos for the very first time. We jump into the game, we go, and we're just eager to play, and we just go out on a run. And I know that anybody that's listening to this story that's playing the game has had this experience. You go out on the run, you never checked your vault beforehand to look at your loadout. And of course, that loadout is the spoils from the
All the good
previous
stuff, yeah.
your previous extraction. So you're coming in 65% full
Dude,
or
I
even
forgot
more.
about that.
Right?
We both
And-
came in with. I came in with 2 guns equipped, and then plus another weapon, plus a
Right.
backpack in my backpack.
Right. I think I had another weapon in my backpack and a bunch of just a bunch of crap.
Just
that was
consumable,
some good some like purple mods, some blue stuff, blah blah.
mods, yeah.
Right. Like it's just it was just a bunch of stuff that I had, and we we go into this map that I had never played before, and right, and then there's like heat dropping, like there's it's raining fire, and right, like all of this shit is happening, and then within 7 minutes we got rolled, right, and like all that stuff was gone, and it didn't hurt. Like I laughed, right? Like when it was done, I was like, "Oh man, I forgot to take all that stuff
Thank
out
goodness,
of my
because
bag."
you would have been pissed at me, right?
right. Like it was just like, "Oh, I just lost all that stuff in the bag." But my my thought was, well, I'll just go out on another run and I'll collect a bunch of more of that stuff. And maybe it's because I haven't been playing this game long enough and haven't really sat down to like build a weapon. There are many weapons like this, but this weapon is mine, right? Like I haven't had that moment yet. Maybe that's it. But the other part of that is like I understand this genre a little bit more, and this game is a little bit more forgiving when it comes to that stuff. Like you're gonna find loot, you're gonna find guns,
Right.
you're gonna find the things that you need to do the stuff that you want, and then and there are going to be some very special pieces of equipment that you'll find on runs and hopefully be able to extract, but you will know like, hey, I've got that shit and I need to hold this for when I'm going to do the the PvE stuff in a week, so I'm gonna put that stuff away. But like the rest of it, it's okay, and you can build out your absolute boss god tier loadout, and not necessarily worry about it. If you lose it, you will have a chance to get it again. You just you get better, you get smarter, you get more experience, you have more awareness, and you'll have a chance to succeed.
Well, and in addition to finding that, in the map, the game providing you all this loot, like you do also have those opportunities to take that same stuff from other runners, and
100%.
I don't want to think of it as like it's like the joy is ruining somebody else's day, but like, man, sometimes like you take down a team and they were about to do a key room, and now all of a sudden you have the key and you're the one who gets to loot all that stuff. Right. Or I think early on when we were playing, we had a run where we ran into another team, slightly evenly matched, but we took them out, and I got a silenced bully that I've been using for the last like few days, and like they might have loved that gun. Like that gun is incredibly awesome.
Right.
And what I'm gonna do with it is enjoy my time with it, and when I do lose it, somebody else gets to have that gun, right. And I hope they get to enjoy it too. And I know that's like maybe like a too much of like a Zen philosophy about it, but I really do think that is one of the joys of the game, is like being able to like really appreciate this kind of temporary nature of things, and being like, yeah, like when I lose my good gear, somebody else gets to use it, and I hope they appreciate it as much as I did.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully someone else gets to use it. I mean, if you just walk into a tox room and die, could
but
just
that's
go.
even funnier.
Exactly. Right. No, we did recently encounter a tox room with the doors open, the crates open, and 2 dead runners outside the doors, which was hilarious.
So funny.
Well, now it's my turn to yuck this yum, as we talk about the greatness of Marathon, and I get to talk about the largest pain point, and this is probably a pain point for everyone who plays this game, and that's the onboarding. It is It is absolutely atrocious. The onboarding in this game is so kind of haphazard. The like I praise Arc Raiders for its level of immersion, and they do a really good job. A couple of cutscenes in the beginning, that to really kind of set the world, set the template for the world, get you to understand what the premise is and why you're doing what you're doing. Um, Marathon doesn't do that at all.
With season 2, they were supposed to have changed the onboarding experiences. So I think for Robomantis and myself, it's pretty much like a mini run where they drop you into one of those little outbuildings on perimeter. They kind of encourage you to sneak past a couple of like those floating drones.
Right.
And then you kind of like, there's an exfil point and you sort of have to like hold off some UESC robots while you exfil. Was that your experience too? Was there anything more to it than that?
No, that was it. That was it. Like you do that, right?
And
like
you're a destroyer, and they're like, activate your thing, and you do it,
right.
and then you can't
and
really
you
figure
do
out
it,
what's
and then
going
you're
on
out, and then you're
because,
out, right?
Yeah.
Right. And now it's like, okay, go and play the game, right? And I'm not going to explain mods to you. Yeah, you've got these shells, and they've got all of these special moves, but it's like there's like paragraphs of text that you get, and that's all well and good. There's stuff that's there. If you're really passionate about the game, you will take the time to read that stuff and really start to understand it. But this is a game, like the entire premise of this game is that I'm going to generally have a crew of people that I'm playing with, one or two more people that I'm playing with, and we're going to go out there and experience the game. But they don't want to sit around and wait for me to read this stuff and learn this stuff and do, like they want to go and play the game.
Well, particularly when you were working your way through some of the like introducing quest lines, like introducing New Cal, introducing Traxxas and stuff like that.
Yes.
You're constantly, like every step along the way, you're getting faction representative is talking to you, and you can kind of skip through those, but that's I think the real core of like how you learn what the factions are kind of about and what distinguishes them. So I kind of don't want to, and it's voice acted, so I kind of don't want to skip that stuff.
And it's well done, right? Like, so there's all of that stuff.
They did not skimp on the voice acting in this game. These are some big names. Yeah.
So like, this stuff is well done. You really want to be able to appreciate it, but at the same time, you want you want to respect the time of your teammates that are there. And this game doesn't seem to understand that this is also something that it needs to respect, right? And so it's got to respect my time so I can respect these other players' time, and it just does a really poor job of doing that. The iconography in this game, oh boy, right? Like everything looks the same. The guns look different, but the mods look the same. I can't tell where this
and like
mod
I told
could
you,
go.
this version of the iconography, especially with mods and implants and cores, is a significant leap over where it was at launch.
Yeah. Well, well, instead of it being a mound of shit, it's just a pile of shit now. It still
it was
smells.
a low bar. Yeah.
Right, it still smells, bro. So
right, that's
like,
my point. Right, it's
right.
really it's interesting that like clearly the level of expertise they have on how to make a gun feel good when you shoot it versus the level of expertise they have as far as how to tell a leg implant from a head implant.
Right.
There's a little bit of a gap there.
Yeah, and I think one of the problems that they have internally is that they spend so much time, they're so deep in the weeds with these things and meetings and all that other stuff that when they do make these incremental changes, they're too inside baseball, so that like for them it's obvious, right? Because they went through these painstakingly minute details to change that stuff, and that's what they present. But they never presented that to a layperson that was seeing it and had that layperson say, "No, I can't really tell the difference between that one's pink and that one's salmon. I can't what are we doing
It's
here?
coral, bro.
Right, exactly. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's the one of the problems. The another problem is, they've got a surrounding the text. They've got great lore in here. There's lots of stuff in there that like the more I'm learning about it, the more interested I am with it. But again, it's a lot of reading. Like it's stuff that I've got to do when I'm not getting ready for a run, when the two of you are not sitting in the lobby, waiting for me to figure the shit out and so that we can do on another run. And thank you guys again for your patience as I'm figuring this stuff out. The other part of that is inventory management. Inventory management is terrible. And not only is inventory management terrible, but the loadout management is terrible. You come back out from an extraction, you've got all this stuff, you need to set up your loadout, and just like moving the stuff around and grabbing the right things and putting new mods on the guns, it takes so much time. Like I'm sure they have streamlined it from where it was in season 1, but they still haven't gone far enough. I wonder if they will go further, if they have interest in going further to perhaps streamline this stuff.
Well, and if they have the time to
Right.
streamline it, I feel like what we're going to see throughout the rest of this game is it's going to be a matter of what do they try to prioritize, right? And, obviously they're putting a ton of energy into this PvE mode. I think hopefully making sure that, people are going to be able to do this. I think they are aware that onboarding needs to improve, but how much time and resources do they have to do that? And then ultimately the question is, how much runway do they have? Are we looking at this game has 6 months, a year, 2 years? Well, maybe they might get to some of that stuff. Otherwise, though, we might just be completely running out of clock before the inevitable synth silk failure.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
Nice.
I look at Anthem as a game. Anthem.
The ability for games to succeed after having a terrible launch is something that it's a real possibility now in a way that I feel like it didn't used to be. An Anthem is
Right.
like the prime. I feel like that is really the first big example that comes to mind for me of like the first game chronologically that I think of that was pretty much a disaster at launch, right? And they chipped away at it, and it became pretty darn fun.
It did, but then it and then it kind of I think it fell off the cliff again because there was just less stuff to do. But the servers died on that game, right? Like when they finally
they took it
closed
offline
those,
completely. It wasn't like end of support. It was like you cannot play this anymore.
You cannot play this game anymore. But by the time they had done that, I was like, holy shit, are people still playing this game? Right? Like it had been like I was pleasantly shocked at how long those servers were up and around and viable for players to continue to play that game and get their Iron Man on. After that game stopped being populated. So I have lots of optimism for runners to continue to have experiences on Tau Ceti 4, even if they're not more streamlined, more thoughtful experiences than they currently are. I think that you'll be able to play this for a while.
I just want to do a few quick notes here. One is that the iconography is already slated for a Robomantis. Do you remember, what is it? It's the implants, right? That are getting a huge graphical overhaul.
Next week.
So
honestly, to me, it looks like it's only going to make things more confusing.
Perfect.
Like it's giving you way more things to try to pay attention to, which I think they need to simplify, but we'll see. They're definitely trying it.
Yeah. I have been surprised since Destiny 1 that they have not figured out a solution to what you were talking about, where it's like, hey, we just finished a run and we unlocked a bunch of stuff, and now we're all like sitting together in a party in silence while like or like trying to tune out what this person is saying in my ear because I'm trying to listen to what this like giant silkworm lady
Right.
is like telling me about the faction. You know what I mean? And they have like tried to chip away at that by letting you like see some contract and codex stuff like while the game loads, but to me that hasn't been as useful as I had certainly as I had hoped. And I've always just been surprised that they haven't figured out some way to use that downtime in between matches, and like even just some kind of like, hey, like let's make a pool and anybody in the crew can throw items in the pool and share things, or like, you know, hey, do you need whatever kind of salvage, and like maybe we can do some kind of trade, or like maybe there's some kind of group crafting mechanic, right, that you can only build or create certain things when you are in a crew and like only in that time between runs. And I think like to me this stands out even more because like the Tower of Destiny has just been replaced by a bunch of menus, you know? It's not
Right.
like Sekaguchi's over here and like, oh, go up a story and you'll find the Maida guy. Like it's all just menus. And so it feels like in the Tower, it's like, okay, I can wait for you because I can like go stand
Right.
next to Zavala and like do some funny emotes and like maybe I can get a little dance party going, right?
Right.
You don't have any of that in Marathon.
No.
It's just we're just sitting there looking at menus and looking at our gears, you know.
Right.
While you're unlocking like tons and tons of codex entries. And like even just like a read later, or like to me this is what the companion app should be. Like give me the companion
Right.
app
Right.
where it's, you know, like that I
Right.
can create that I can press play, and while I'm working I can hear a little podcast style, you know, you
Yes.
can read me the lore entries or whatever.
Yeah.
Because doing it in between runs, it just doesn't, I don't know, it's like clearly creates the issue that you're having. It seems obvious. I don't.
But it's still a fun game. It's an incredible game. And one thing that I've said to you guys personally, like I liken this game to the Masters of the Universe movie that just released. That movie to me is one of the best movies that I've seen this year, and I watch a lot of movies. And the reason that it was right, like it was so good, was it was precisely what it needed to be for the audience it was trying to court. And the tragedy of it is that that audience thought it was going to play down to them, so they decided to avoid it. And as a result, the movie bombed, and it was set up for a sequel, and we may not get that sequel because the people that needed to see this movie, the people that wanted to see this movie, didn't go out and see the movie because they thought it wasn't going to be for them. And you know, this game is exactly that same way. If you like, one of the things that I said to you guys, the difference between this game and my experiences with Arc Raiders is that I feel like I can play this a hell of a lot more tactically than I could play Arc Raiders, and it works. And you know, and maybe that's the people that I'm playing with, but I think it also has to do with how effective the game and the game controls are in this game. So if you're a Rainbow Six player, if you're you know, an old school Ghost Recon player, if you're a player who really enjoys tactics and playing tactical and being able to communicate with your teammates and coordinating and you know, coming up with plans and executing those plans, this is precisely the type of game for you, especially if what I said earlier about the amount of time that you have to play these games, and you know, how you continually go back to games that have repetitive controls. If that resonated with you, this game really would resonate with you because it adds all of those elements at the same time to the experience. And you know, I think it's a shame that there are lots of people that I personally know that I hang out with, that I played those other games with, that I know would like this game, but they're not giving it a chance.
Yeah, it's funny how this game gets a reputation as being more unforgiving than something like Rainbow Six Siege, where like, to me, Siege is the more punishing
Right.
experience because you lose, you just get nothing, you know?
Right. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I do want to begin a regular mini feature here, which is our developer suggestion of the week, where we're going to offer some small, what we think would be good ideas to improve the game. I'm going to give it this week to Stubby Stan's suggestion for a firing range, something that you can go into without loading into a run where you're at risk of losing your gear and where every gunshot will be heard by opposing runner crews. We need some way to be like, hey, this new thing, let me check it out. Let me see how it works. Let me see how it feels with the stock extended or not extended in a low stakes way. I think a firing range would be an awesome and probably pretty, I don't know. You always hate as a non-developer to be like, this seems easy for them to do. But, it seems easy enough to give you a place to test fire some of your weapons. So
it also kills, two birds with one stone, because that whole thing of that anxiety of me wasting everybody's time by watching lore or opening contracts, getting that info.
We can stand there and shoot guns while we wait.
Tweaking my loadout while you're waiting. You can you can grab a gun that you just got and shoot them. Right, shoot some guns.
This is I actually think pretty much every game's lobby should be a miniature version of that game that you can play. Like I should be able to sit there and play pond hockey while I'm waiting in NHL 26 for my teammates to figure out their loadouts.
Nice. Well, next week we are going to be taking a look at Vault Breakers, as we mentioned before. That's going to be releasing on Tuesday, so we're hoping to have some good time playing that over the week, and we will let you know our thoughts on it then. As always, we do have a little donation link to a Patreon if you want to support the project. If you're watching this on YouTube and you've made it this far, thank you so much. Please go ahead, give us a like. If you're listening on Spotify, give us 5 stars if you wouldn't mind. And then we're also including a little email link to suggest a topic or any other feedback that you might have. So you can find Ty and Cicero as panelists on Discovery Debrief, which is returning soon for Season 4 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. You can find Discovery Debrief wherever you are listening to this podcast. And remember, runners, marathon is dying, and so are you.